The match was a chess game. Coco Gauff, the grandmaster, was methodically solving every puzzle Eala presented. And then, in the middle of a tense baseline rally, something invisible broke. Not a string. Not a rule. A piece of sportsmanship. What followed wasn't a fight or a tantrum, it was a chilling, uncomfortable shift in atmosphere that turned a brilliant contest into something tense, quiet, and unforgettable. The cameras caught it all, but only those who understood the silent language of competition knew what they were truly seeing. The 2027 Wimbledon quarterfinal was being hailed as a passing of the torch. Not from an old champion to a new one, but from one generation of intelligent, dynamic tennis to the next. On one side of the net, Coco Gauff, now a three-time slam champion and the world's premier defensive tactician. Her game on grass was a thing of brutal efficiency, a heavy, kicking serve, a backhand slice that stayed treacherously low, and an uncanny ability to turn defense into offense in a single shot. On the other side, Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino sensation. His game was a breathtaking fusion of power and artistry. She played with a creative fearlessness that reminded old-timers of a young Hingis or Navratilova. Using every inch of the court and every shot in the book, their previous meeting at the U.S. Open had been a tactical epiphany for Eala. This match at the All-England Club promised to be its evolution, a high-stakes, high-Q duel for a spot in the semifinals. The center court crowd, dressed in their summer whites, settled in for a beautiful exhibition of modern tennis. They were about to witness something far more complex. The first set was a masterpiece of cat and mouse, played at breakneck speed. Eala came out with a clear, aggressive plan. Attack Gauff's second serve. Use the drop shot to exploit Gauff's deep court positioning and rush the net at every opportunity. For the first 5 games, it worked brilliantly. She broke Gauff's serve and held a 3-2 lead, her variety causing the champion visible discomfort. But Gauff, the ultimate solver, began to adjust. She started taking Eala's second serve earlier, punishing it with deep returns. She began to anticipate the drop shots, running them down and flicking passing shot winners. She broke back, held, and then, with the set poised at 5-5, produced a moment of pure grass court genius. On breakpoint, she lured Eala into the net with a short slice, then whipped a topspin lob that landed perfectly on the baseline. She broke and served out the set 7-5. The chess master was solving the prodigy's opening gambit. The discomfort was on Eala's side. Her bold plans were being systematically decoded. The second set saw the dynamic shift. Eala, realizing she couldn't outcreate Gauff on this day, simplified. She began playing more percentage tennis, engaging in longer baseline rallies, trusting her powerful ground strokes. The match settled into a tense, gripping arm wrestle. The points were long, physical, and draining. Both women held serve with increasing difficulty. The atmosphere grew taut, a wire being pulled tighter with each game. The comfortable flow of their artistic styles was gone, replaced by a gritty war of attrition. At 4-4, with Gauff serving, the incident that would snap the match occurred. After a grueling 22-shot rally that left both women gasping, Eala hit a deep forehand that landed near the line. The line judge called out. Gauff, exhausted, raised a tired fist. Thinking she had won the point to go up 30-15, Eala immediately challenged, pointing calmly at the mark. Hawkeye engaged. The replay showed the ball catching by the slimmest of margins, the very edge of the line, and the point was Eala's. 15-30. A pivotal moment. Gauff walked back to the baseline, a flicker of irritation crossing her face. It was a normal reaction to a tough overturn. But what happened next was not normal. On the very next point, Gauff served a body serve. Eala jammed, could only chip a weak return short. Gauff moved in for a routine put-away forehand into the open court. It was a sitter, a point-ender. As Gauff lined up the shot, Eala, standing at the net, did not turn her back or walk to the baseline. She didn't even move. She stood perfectly still, directly in Gauff's line of sight, and stared. not at the ball, but directly into Gauff's eyes. It was a frozen, intense, and deliberate stare, a psychological intrusion at the moment of execution. Gauff, mid-swing, saw it. Her shot, instead of being crushed for a winner, was guided nervously. It sailed long. An unforced error on a point she had already won. 15-40, double break point. The crowd murmured, confused. Gauff stared back at Eala, her expression one of pure, shocked disbelief. The sportsmanlike bubble that had surrounded their previous respectful clashes had just been punctured. Eala said nothing. She simply walked to the deuce court to receive, her face blank. The snap wasn't audible. It was atmospheric. The match had just turned uncomfortable. The silence after the mist put away was heavier than any roar. The air on center court, once crisp with sporting competition, now felt thick and charged with a silent, mutual accusation. Coco Gauff stood at the baseline, replaying the last 2 points in her head. The Hawkeye overturn that felt unjust, and the unnerving, frozen stare that had clearly broken her concentration. This wasn't gamesmanship. It felt like a boundary had been crossed, a line in the unwritten code of respect erased. Eala, across the net, gave nothing away. Her expression was that of a surgeon who had completed a difficult, necessary procedure. She was not gloating. She was working. On the next point, Gauff, her rhythm and peace shattered, double-faulted. Eala broke her serve, 5-4. She would serve for the second set. The uncomfortable shift was now the entire cue system of the match. Gauff's team in the player's box was a portrait of stunned fury. Her coach gestured emphatically at the chair umpire, arguing for a hindrance call on the stare. The umpire shook her head. The rulebook covers audible distractions, not visual ones. There was no recourse. Gauff was alone with this new, chilling reality. Eala held serve to love to take the set 6-4, sealing it with an ace. The match was level. But as the players sat for the changeover, the real match, the psychological one, was just beginning. The third set would not be decided by forehands or backhands, but by who could navigate the uncomfortable silence Eala had created. From the first point of the decider, the quality of tennis remained high, but its soul had changed. The elegant cat and mouse was gone. Every exchange was now laced with a palpable, frosty tension. The crowd's polite applause felt forced. Gauff, to her immense credit, did not retaliate with gamesmanship of her own. She doubled down on her tennis, playing with a grim, focused determination. But the free-flowing confidence was gone. Her shots were safe, heavy, but lacked the creative spark that defined her at her best. She was playing not to lose to the tactic, not to win the match. Eala, meanwhile, had weaponized the discomfort. She played with a cold, clinical efficiency. She didn't repeat the staring tactic, which would have made it predictable. She simply let its memory hang in the air, a ghost that made every big point feel loaded. At 3-3 on Gauff's serve, they played a long, tense rally. At its climax, Eala hit a deep approach shot and charged the net. Gauff, with a clear passing lane, went down the line. Eala, at full stretch, made a spectacular volley. The ball was clearly going out. Gauff, standing at the baseline, could have let it go. Instead, she caught it. Not with her racket, but with her hand. She stopped play, walked to the ball kid, and handed it back. She then walked to her chair and sat down, refusing to play the next point until the changeover. It was a silent, powerful protest. A statement, I will not participate in this atmosphere. The umpire was forced to call time. The discomfort was now a public standoff. Eala was unfazed. She held serve after the awkward restart. At 4-4, the final decisive push came. Gauff, serving at 30-30, went for a big first serve. It was called out. She immediately challenged. Hawkeye showed it, clipping the line. The point was hers. Advantage Gauff. It was a moment for her to seize momentum. But as she prepared to serve again, Eala raised her hand. She walked slowly to the umpire and engaged in a long, quiet conversation, pointing at the spot where the serve had landed. questioning the Hawkeye system itself. It was a pure delay tactic, a master class in breaking rhythm under the guise of a rules inquiry. The umpire dismissed it. But the damage was done. The emotional momentum from the correct challenge was gone. Gauff's next serve was a fault. On the second serve, she netted a backhand. Deuce. 2 points later, Eala broke. She would serve for the match at 5-4. The uncomfortable. Tactics had engineered the only break of the final set. Serving for the match, Eala was flawless. She held at love, winning the match 5-7, 6-4. 6-4. Her celebration was subdued a raise of the arms to her box, a quiet smile. It was the celebration of a mission accomplished, not a dream realized. At the net, the handshake was the briefest and coldest of their careers. No words were exchanged. No eye contact was made. Just the obligatory touch of fingers. Gauff packed her bags and left the court quickly, her head high but her spirit visibly bruised. In her press conference, she was terse. She played well. She got the win. That's all there is to say. When pressed on the mid-match incident, she shut it down. I have no comment on that. I'm focused on my next tournament. Eala, when asked about her tactics and the shift in atmosphere, was equally cryptic. Tennis is a mental game. You have to use every tool. I was just focused on finding a way to win. The match had turned uncomfortable because one player had deliberately introduced a tool from the shadowy edges of competition psychological intrusion, and the other had no defense for it. It was a victory, but one that left a stain on the match's legacy. It proved that sometimes the thing that snaps mid-match isn't a player's nerve, but the fragile, unspoken contract of respect that makes the sport beautiful. And once it's broken, the game can never quite feel the same.